Protests continue across Georgia for a third consecutive night after the government suspended negotiations to join the European Union.
Polling stations have opened across Romania where millions are casting their ballots in the country's parliamentary election. Tens of thousands of Spaniards have taken to the streets of Valencia a month after floods devastated the city to demand the resignation of local officials.
The 21st edition of the Marrakesh International Film Festival, one of the largest in the Middle East and North Africa, gets underway.
Protesters have gathered across Georgia for a third consecutive night after the government decided to suspend negotiations to join the European Union. Some media outlets reported seeing protesters being chased and beaten by police as demonstrators rallied in front of the country's parliament building. The ruling Georgian Dream Party's disputed victory in the country's parliamentary elections sparked major demonstrations and led to an opposition boycott of the parliament. The government's announcement that it was suspending accession negotiations came hours after the European Parliament adopted a resolution that condemned the vote as neither free nor fair. EU lawmakers urged a rerun within a year under thorough international supervision and by an independent election administration. Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobekhidze denounced what he described as a cascade of insults from EU politicians and accused them of blackmail.
Polling stations have opened in Romania where millions are casting their ballots in the parliamentary election. It comes just 1 week after a controversial first round of the presidential race and is sandwiched between the runoff vote set for next week. And while the president has significant decision-making powers in Romania, it's the prime minister that heads the government. Last week's presidential vote saw far-right independent candidate Călin Georgescu win 23% of the vote. Georgescu's win has been marred with controversy, with Romania's top court requesting a recount of votes and launching a probe into potential foreign interference. Georgescu's campaign, promoted only via social media platform TikTok, has often displayed anti-NATO and anti-EU rhetoric. Political analysts have been reluctant to predict the outcome of Sunday's parliamentary vote. Many are waiting to see if the political tide has shifted in Romania and has veered towards populist politics. 130,000 people have taken part in a major march in the eastern Spanish city of Valencia a month after the devastating floods. They're demanding the resignation of regional officials who they accuse of fumbling the emergency response that led to the deaths of more than 230 people. They say emergency alerts were only sent to their mobile phones after some areas had already been submerged. The president of the Valencian community, Carlos Mazon, has resisted such calls, instead reshuffling his cabinet and appointing new faces to lead recovery efforts. Mazon refuses to take sole responsibility of the tragedy, but acknowledged that mistakes were made. He says the floods were apocalyptic and unprecedented in nature, indicating that not much more could have been done to change the outcome. But Mazon insists his government is fully committed to recovery efforts and are working hard at restoring the city's infrastructure to pre-flood levels.
The Marrakesh International Film Festival opened Friday night with actors and filmmakers from around the world gracing the red carpet. 70 features from 32 countries are being showcased for movie lovers at the festival. The competition also contains 14 first or second films contesting for Gold Star and other prestigious awards.
I want to see cinema that provokes me. I want to see cinema that doesn't try to be tidy. I want to see cinema that is taking big risks. I want to see cinema that can be not perfect, but alive.
You never know, but you know when a movie really grabs you and it teaches you something.
Organizers say prominence will be given to emerging talent from the Middle East and Africa.
I live in a bubble in England or America, and I see things, but when you're working, you don't really see that much. You kind of go into your own sort of hermetically sealed world. So it's like coming to something like this, you get a bit more of a sense and learn a bit more. So
in its 21st edition, the week-long festival is increasingly making its presence felt.